Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Meng. I was trying to write this case mentioned by my viewer. Sorry, not sure how to pronounce your screen name, and I kind of stuck in the middle of the writing as I wanted to add some more in-depth discussion to that case. To be frankly, I have no idea how to progress the script and start to talk about the code cultures in China combined with the case. I feel like it's easier to make crime cases and stick to it for me right now. I haven't been writing essays since 10 years ago when I was in uni. So I cried for help from a random Greek person on the internet, and we will see how to make the writing together. Anyway, while we are working on that, I think I can give a rather usual crime case today to keep up with the uploading. Today's case is about this young lad attacked and killed his classmate for a mature lady. It's a weird love triangle thing and a play of power in romance. What's going on? Let me bring you back to the year of 2006. Her name is Lillian, and she was the lead teacher of the class 15. She was 44 years old at the time. Age did not make her ugly, but rather granted her this elegant charm, with long black hair and a mature intellectual vibe when she wasn't speaking. Once she started talking, her lively personality shone through. As the students would say, quoted, she talks more like an elder sister than a teacher. After graduating from the Chinese department at Guizhou Normal University, Lillian came to Guiyang No. 6 High School, where she has been a teacher for 15 years. By the time our protagonists met each other, she was in charge of a special international class. In the past, this particular high school had 15 classes, and the top ones in ascending order were called the elite classes, right? So class 15 will be the last one in rank. Although officially they called it the China-Canada International Class. It was often referred to by students as the noble class, not because the tuition fee was high, but also because it cost a ton to get in to begin with. Therefore, the students in this class usually came from well-off families, but had average or even bad academic performance. And Meng Chao was just one of the kids. He came from a single-parent family. His father was a mid-level official in Guiyang's construction department, worked for the government. Family was financially doing well. He grew up spoiled, always dressed in name-brand clothes, and rarely had anyone to discipline him. Cause, father was always busy. In the autumn of 2006, a year ago, 17-year-old Meng Chao transferred to the class 15 after class division. From his first day in class, he noticed Lillian. That day, she wore her long hair down, had on a white floral dress, and a pair of light brown high heels. This look left Meng Chao stunned. Wow, since when we have such a goddess teacher in our school? A week later, Meng Chao felt that his teacher wasn't just beautiful, but had a unique charm that made her seem very approachable. In every single class she taught, he would unconsciously stare at her, even imagining that they were the only ones in the classroom, just the two of them alone. It's like mental dates. After class, he would often approach Miss Lillian to ask various questions. Just listening to her talk made his heart race. Deep down, he longed for special attention from Lillian, but she seemed to treat every student equally well. In this underachieving class, she never saw them as failures, but constantly encouraged them. In China, there's this noticeable academic hierarchy, often referred to as the academic contempt chain. During our school days, there was an unfortunate tendency where students who didn't perform well academically were often looked down upon, intentionally or unintentionally. Everyone aspired to be top student, and this created a competitive and sometimes judgmental environment. I suffered and I hated it. Soon after joining the new class, tall and wealthy Meng Chao became the popular choice. And Meng Chao actually had a girlfriend back then from the same age and the same class. However, deep inside, he was not satisfied. He wanted that impossible woman. This thought was like a seed, happened to appear in his mind, waiting for the right opportunity to grow. It was that afternoon, that class. The substitute teacher didn't show up, so it turned into a self-study period for the students. So the three of them sat at the back of the classroom playing cards secretly, while a few other guys watched them from a distance. Suddenly, Miss Lillian walked by the hallway and caught them in the act. She stormed in through the back door, furious, and demanded, saying, Meng Chao, what are you guys doing? She then ordered, Meng Chao, come to my office after school. That was the first time Meng Chao saw Miss Lillian angry. He stood there, blushing, completely stunned. He never imagined that his long-awaited chance to be alone with her would happen like this. That whole afternoon, she scolded him sternly, with none of her usual smiles. Meng Chao regretted it deeply. The gentle and kind Miss Lillian was so angry because of him. It was the evening on the same day. He couldn't let go the thought of Miss Lillian and worried that she seemed really disappointed at him and upset by him. Meng Chao couldn't suppress his worries and finally called Miss Lillian and asked if she was still mad at him. To his surprise, she sounded calm and reassured him that she was no longer upset. She encouraged him to study well so she wouldn't be disappointed at him in any future, whatever. She comforted him like a normal teacher would do to any of her students. But Meng Chao was not just holding the simple feeling of a student to his teacher. He was blushing when he shyly asked if she had gone home and whether she was busy preparing lessons, suggesting she should rest well or earlier. He was trying to start a conversation with her. Lillian chuckled, finding her new student quite interesting. They chatted casually for a while, and under her gentle words, Meng Chao eventually hung up the phone. From that day on, Meng Chao tasted the sweet of love, I bet, so he started to find various reasons to call Miss Lillian every single night. To his delight, she not only didn't refuse his calls, but seemed to look forward to them. Their phone conversation grew longer and covered topics ranging from studies to life and even personal feelings. One evening, Lillian candidly told Meng Chao about her past, revealing she had been divorced once and her current partner was always in construction projects and rarely home. She admitted she didn't have much feeling for her partner and she believed that he was using her to get his child into school. Blah blah blah. Meng Chao was stunned and didn't understand why she shared such personal details with him. In return, he opened it up about his private thoughts regarding the girls in their class. He's trying to test it. Lillian responded by asking if he knew what love was, quoting the Book of Songs. Something like, that beauty living on the opposite shore, that's love. Which is a very romantic quote in our culture, so you can imagine when Meng Chao admitted he didn't quite understand, she laughed and expressed her desire to guide him every day, adding that she was always waiting for his call. Meng Chao's heart skipped a bit. He sensed that Miss Lillian really liked him, but they never crossed that line. As the semester passed and the second semester began in March 2007, things finally changed. This Guiyang No. 6 High School organized an off-site training for the senior students. During the day, Meng Chao and his classmates did orienteering, woodworking, and car repair at the training base. In the evenings, they returned to their dorms. Though busy, Meng Chao missed seeing Miss Lillian every day at their long phone chats. One night, he gathered his courage and sent her a text message saying, "I miss you." Then he stared at his phone and stopped looking, then back to pick at his phone again. This anxious yet excited feeling he was having. A moment later, he received her reply. It was a string 130, and it meant, "I miss you too." The three numbers made his head spin, and he couldn't calm down all night. The next evening, craving a cigarette, he snuck into a small grove to smoke. From a distance, he saw a graceful woman walking towards him. It was Miss Lillian. She changed her hairstyle to a fresh short haircut and wore a black lace dress that showed off her curves in the early spring breeze. "Mom, what are you doing here? I was just out for a walk. Wanna join me?" Meng Chao, of course, eagerly agreed. They walked and chatted under the moonlit shadows of trees until they reached the edge of the training base. In a quiet grove, with only the sounds of insects and birds, they sat close next to each other on the grass, admiring the bright moon. Meng Chao smelled her perfume and felt her soft, warm body next to his. "Look at that moon. It's so big and beautiful," he said, distracted, as he is putting his arm around her waist. "Mom, this isn't right," she said, moving slightly away. But Meng Chao couldn't hold back anymore. He hugged her tightly and kissed her. And you know what? She didn't resist. After the training ended, Meng Chao returned home and immediately got a call from Lillian. On the other end, she sounded like she was crying. Even though Meng Chao kept asking why she was crying, Miss Lillian never said. Instead, she kept saying if he got homesickly and if he was tired, yada yada yada, checking on him. Meng Chao felt uneasy, so he took a taxi and rushed to her. Miss Lillian, still in tears, pulled Meng Chao to a corner of the sofa and gently kissed his cheek. She murmured something like, "Mom, I really like you, but I can't help it." "I like you too." Meng Chao's mind went blank. She said in tears that it can happen and it's wrong for them to be together, yada yada yada. Again, honestly, Meng Chao was conflicted too, but at that moment his passion overpowered all his reason, and they had sex on the couch. After the day, Meng Chao suddenly felt like he had grown up, becoming a true man. His relationship with his teacher had taken root and was spiraling uncontrollably. Meng Chao understood the potential dangers but quietly vowed to always protect his beloved teacher. In his diary, Meng Chao wrote passionately something like, "Society, ethnic, morality are pushing me away, but I am unwilling to relent even if it means being beaten to a pulp. My skull shattered, teeth knocked out, eyes gouged out. You can ignore me, forget me, not care about me, do whatever you want, but a scarred corpse will always follow you." Meanwhile, Lillian became happier and more active, so their conversations were full of sweet words. This phrase in their local dialect describes something excessively sugared. "Overflowing heart, teacher really liked it," giggled Lillian on the other end of the phone. "From now on, let's not call you teacher in private. Can I call you Xiner? Okay?" Lillian agreed, without hesitation, marking their identities shifting from teacher and student to lovers. However, this forbidden love remained completely underground, or it's supposed to. At school, Meng Chao maintained his composure in class as if dealing with a just normal teacher. But come the weekends, they shed their disguises and went out together, attending concerts, sipping coffee, occasionally exchanging gifts, just like any other couple in love. and the mature woman, Lilian, sometimes offer guidance and comfort in life, especially after Meng Chao's beloved grandfather passed away. She helped him through grief. This added a layer of heartfelt gratitude from Meng Chao towards his teacher. As their relationship grew closer, nothing could conceal their fiery passion anymore. First, to feel something was off was Meng Chao's father. He noticed his son locking himself in his room, sneakily refusing entry and talking late into the night. Then there was that time he moved a stuffed toy from beside Meng Chao's pillow, and Meng Chao exploded in anger, a reaction the father had never seen before. Little did father know that this toy was a gift from Lilian. Later on, the father discovered Meng Chao visited the teacher Lilian's place every Wednesday and Saturday for Chinese classes. Puzzled, the father wondered why his son, strong in Chinese already, would bother with extra tutoring. Curiously, he mentioned to his son about that, who replied that teacher Lilian's extra classes were for free, so why not? The father wasn't buying it, so he investigated further, and then none of Meng Chao's classmates were attending extra Chinese lessons like him. He also found out that teacher Lilian regularly invited his son for meals, which is... So this looked very indeed abnormal to him. However, teacher Lilian explained over the phone to the father that she saw great potential in Meng Chao and believed with proper tutoring he could even aim for Peking University, one of the best unis here in China, a place every parent would dream to have their children to attend. So that is a part of the suspicion from the father. And he would never have thought that the extra off-school Chinese lessons were excuses of sex. Therefore, the father wasn't fully aware of the change of his son, and it was someone else who exposed the secret love affair between the student and the teacher. Remember, I've told you that Meng Chao had this hobby of writing diaries. He noted down how deeply in love he was with his teacher and his diary, and he even brought that diary to school, so he could keep adding these sweet sentences even during classes. And like I did mention again, he had a girlfriend from the same class. He broke up with her when he got to be with the teacher, right? But that girl couldn't move on just yet, and she happened to notice right away that Meng Chao loved to scribble on his notebook, which he always kept in his backpack. You know, in Chinese secondary school, students have to meet on the main sports field to do group exercise for fitness, and it usually takes about 15 minutes. Although it's mandatory, some students could apply to remain in the classrooms due to health reasons. It was that chance when this girl applied to stay in the classroom while everyone else got to get together and took the exercise outside. She couldn't help but be dead set curious about what Meng Chao had written in his notebook and why he always looked so obsessed when writing. So she sneakily dug through Meng Chao's backpack and discovered a whole book of love letters to this lady, Xin. And from the description, she thought this Xin must be a grown woman, but who was she? This curious kitty read through the notebook and finally found out the page in which bluntly written was the title, Xin, my dear Lilian. And you could imagine the shock when this girl discovered her ex fell in love with her teacher. Therefore, just this rumors about the two being together started to spread among students. Meng Chao was not stupid. He knew his fellow students were talking behind his back. He just didn't care. They can talk whatever. As long as his love was with him, he did not think the rumor could hurt anyone. However, this matter reached someone's ears, and this person was instantly filled with jealousy, even wanting to beat up Meng Chao. His name is Reginald, another boy in the same class, and he was quite a prominent figure in the class. His father is a CEO of a state-owned enterprise, making his family quite wealthy. Reginald usually dresses differently from others, often wearing shorts, leather shoes, and pants that often matched with suits. And his school bag was a leather business style. His mature demeanor earned him the nickname of Uncle Reginald among his classmates. He didn't like to play popular sports like basketball or football, but prefers model airplanes and photography, making him a unique and quite individualistic person. Reginald and Meng Chao hardly had any interaction even they attended the same class. According to their classmates, the two are like parallel lines, not interfering with each other. So why was Reginald so angry about the rumor between Meng Chao and the teacher, Miss Lillian? People immersed in sweet love naturally then suspect that their partner had almost identical feelings for someone else before their relationship, right? This previous person was Reginald. Remember this premature outfit choice he often wore? I bet that's one of the outcomes when you date someone who's much older and you're eager to catch up the age difference. In autumn 2005, when he began high school, his family rented a place near the school's back gate to make it easier for him to commute. For a while, he often went to Lillian's place for tutoring. To his family, Reginald was very obedient, never caused trouble, and was introverted. He didn't even bring classmates home to play. His family also knew that he had a very good relationship with Lillian. A student said that Lillian always praised Reginald as being excellent, but his exam rankings were actually never very high. In 2007, Reginald went to file a sightseeing spot with a female teacher from school. No one knew who that teacher was exactly, though. It's just said that that teacher had a boyfriend, and Reginald then wanted to pursue another female teacher at the school, but didn't get the chance. In his phone's calendar, he had a memo for this 1-year anniversary of dating, which was actually Lillian's phone number. Every morning around 6 a.m., Reginald would leave home for school, but he would go to Lillian's place instead. He would also stay at Lillian's place for some time at noon. If he skipped class to go to her place, Lillian would call in sick for him, and he would change his exam scores for him. And Reginald had a key to Lillian's place. When Reginald discovered the secret relationship between Lillian and Meng Chao, he's been with Lillian for about a year already. They exchanged a lot of text messages, talking about love, struggles, also the other person, Meng Chao. Reginald was so upset and extreme when he realized Lillian and Meng Chao had had sex and very close to each other. And just the luck would have it. One day in June, Reginald witnessed this couple walking down to the street looking too familiar, so he called Lillian. He asked her whereabouts angrily over the phone. Right? Lillian, of course, said she's home. Reginald went crazy right after he hung up the phone and shouted to his friend saying that she's lying to me. 2 months later, when a new semester began, they took these exams again. Reginald had a worse score than Meng Chao and he snapped at Lillian, screaming while waving a knife in her face, threatening to commit suicide. And now you can tell how toxic was that relationship, making a teenage boy batshit crazy. In these thousands of text messages they sent to each other, there's this very concerning content. Quoted, "You don't know every time I see you. Be close with them and can't explain it. My heart breaks. It's a tearing pain. I'm scared that others will take you away from me because I can't live without you. I have a flaw. When people lie to me, even well-meaning lies, I get really angry. I feel like I'm being played with. I'm really afraid you're lying to me, my dear." Lillian would reply in a very manipulative tone, saying like, Every time you disrespect me, I cry and hit myself. I love you, but I'm so scared of you now. When dissatisfaction and hatred blind us, doesn't only love and effort disappear with the hate. The distance from deep love to hatred can be so short. It's sad and pitiful. Reginald saved these messages in a folder in his phone, called it the Heavenscape. One day after school, Lillian called Meng to her home and told him everything about her recent situation with Reginald. Meng couldn't believe it at first, but came to quickly accept it anyway, and his reaction wasn't as intense as Reginald's. So Meng took the initiative to approach Reginald to talk about the situation with Lillian. Unexpectedly, Reginald warned Meng to stay away from her or he wouldn't be nice. Meng reassured himself that Reginald was likely the official boyfriend and that he should be more understanding since he can later. He also noticed that Lillian has stronger feelings for Reginald, so he kept his own feelings in check, worried he would be entirely rejected. Even though he was heartbroken, Meng stayed away from any confrontation with his rival. But Lillian kept complaining to him, constantly criticizing Reginald, saying something like, "Today, he was mean to me again, dear. I'm a bit scared of how clingy he is." And of course, he'd respond, "Sinner, he's just a loser. Don't worry, I will deal with him sooner or later." "Dear, you're the only one who treats me well," she always says so. Meng was thinking about how to deal with Reginald, considering his influence. He couldn't come up with a plan right away, but Lillian couldn't wait and called him again and again, crying something like, "Reginald often harasses me. When will this end, dear? I only have you to rely on now." Meng suppressed his anger and tried to comfort her. "Just ignore him, treat him like he's a piece of shit. The more you respond, the more he'll cling." Little did he know, his reserved attitude made Lillian very unhappy. For the next several days, she didn't answer calls or call Meng anymore. He got anxious and called her, but she never picked up. He became restless. Is she disappointed in me? Did she get back with that guy? He wrote all his feelings in his diary. Sheena smiled in the morning. Her sweet text made me so happy, but a sudden shock at noon left me completely stunned. All those beautiful messages and happy promises disappeared. I knelt at my doorstep, unable to move, feeling a pain like never before. I sat there for 10 hours, crying my heart out. I kept calling and calling, but Sheena wouldn't answer. Lillian's unpredictable, hot and cold behavior left Meng physically and mentally exhausted. Even his classmates noticed that he had become strange, often sitting alone and lost in thoughts. Later, Meng became irritable and easily angered, frequently hitting tables just like Reginald. In September 2007, Meng suddenly asked his father to transfer schools, saying that he wanted to get away from Reginald and Lillian. Is at a breaking point. But the transfer didn't go through for various reasons. And shortly after the transfer request, Lillian called him, crying sadly. She said she was very conflicted, liking Meng a lot, but unable to bear Reginald's torment. Meng cried on the other end of the line as well. He sent Lillian text messages saying that he'd do anything for her as long as she would not abandon him. You know what? Thinking to remove this only obstacle in between he and his love, he had a decision. It was Meng 18th birthday, and this marks the age where Meng can legally accountable and can be held criminally responsible for his actions. As the big shot in the class, he threw a lavish birthday party, setting up 3 banquet tables and inviting most of his classmates. Of course, Reginald was excluded. When it was time to pay, Meng Chao, drunk, put his arm around his classmate and said, "Bro, I'm telling you, I'm really annoyed with Reginald lately. That jerk is spreading rumors that I'm having an affair with the class teacher. I've put up with it." That dude didn't dare make a sound, letting Meng Chao's alcohol breath hit his face. "He better not push me. If he does, I'll kill him," Meng Chao said. In the afternoon, still drunk, Meng Chao returned to the classroom and saw Reginald staring at him. Without a word, he rushed over and grabbed Reginald by the neck, shouting. The other classmates quickly pulled him apart, but Meng Chao still tried to go after him. A classmate quietly told Reginald that Meng Chao was drunk and advised him to back off for now. Seeing Reginald slip away silently, Meng Chao felt triumphant. That night, he spent the night at Lilian's place. She gave him a sleeveless t-shirt and a silver necklace as birthday gifts. They enjoyed a passionate night together. Meng Chao had no idea this would be his last happy moment in life. And the next day, on the 27th, everything took a turn for the worse. At noon, Lilian publicly scolded Meng Chao in front of the whole class for getting drunk at his birthday party and being unable to attend the afternoon class. After school, feeling upset, Meng Chao went through the back gate of the school, bought a few DVDs, and then had a burger at the coast. When he passed by the place Reginald rented near school, he saw Lilian at a restaurant across the street. That wasn't important. What mattered was that she was eating with Reginald, laughing and chatting as they walked together. Meng Chao was furious. He believed that Lilian's public humiliation of him that morning was forced by Reginald, taking revenge from the shouting on his birthday. Meng Chao went home angrily and noted down his plan of killing. Because he was furious, his handwriting was almost unrecognizable. He actually inserted the kill plan to a magazine and brought it to school for the afternoon classes. And let's not forget to mention, he also brought a 30 centimeters long knife along with him. Fortunately, after listening to 2 lessons, Meng Chao gradually calmed himself down. Maybe this killing of anyone used no great results after all. So Meng Chao thought he needed to talk to Reginald instead. At 5 to 5 in the afternoon, Meng Chao saw that Reginald left school and headed home, so he followed. They started to talk right face to face in Reginald's place. It was okay, the conversations were not too hostile, until they had to mention this woman. According to Meng Chao, Reginald started to call him names, and it was no longer a calm conversation anymore between these 2 young lads. It was angry. It was chaos, and Meng Chao took out his knife he prepared half a day ago and thrust it right into Reginald's body. He wasn't aiming to the vital spots, but because everything was just a huge mess, he killed Reginald in that action. It wasn't until Reginald fell down to the puddle of his own blood that Meng Chao suddenly realized what he had done. He was extremely panicked and left the scene immediately. He couldn't dare to look back to the body. Obviously, in the year of 2007, most of the modern forensic technologies had been used. It was not difficult for the police to ID the killer and make the arrest. Meng Chao was sentenced to death and was executed in 2008. Even though he committed the act just 14 hours after turning 18, he still crossed the legal age limit and wasn't protected by the law on the protection of minors anymore. And despite Meng Chao was technically an adult, his behavior totally matches the typical crimes you've seen from teenagers. American psychologist Terry Moffat's team found 2 types of young troublemakers. A small group will keep committing crimes for life, often due to inner issues like extreme irritability, lack of empathy, or learning disabilities from childhood. However, the majority fall into the other category, that is offenders who are confined to adolescence. According to Moffat, teens in this category committed offenses to gain adult privileges or to break free from parental control. These actions are abnormal stress responses to their social environment, which is quite evident in Meng Chao. He wanted to be social, like an adult. He tried to make friends on campus and talked about things like smoking and drinking. He also fell in love with an older woman and started a sexual relationship, things he saw as adult privilege. Remember how he wasn't full-on hostile about Reginald in the beginning, and he often thinking about having a good talk with him. Later showed he wasn't naturally antisocial or had any serious mental issues at all. After he was detained, he thought he had been used by Lillian to get rid of Reginald, who was bothering her. I think that's one way to escape the guilt. But one thing is certain that Meng Chao has a certain degree of Oedipal complex. Meng Chao's parents divorced when he was 3. His father raised him alone. Growing up without his mother and lacking her love could be the reason that led to his symptoms. When a boy reaches puberty, the object of the Oedipus complex is no longer the biological mother, but a substitute for the mother. Any mature woman who is older than himself is likely to become the object of male attachment. A well-known story of it involves the French president. At 16, he fell in love with Brigitte, a teacher 24 years older than him. She later became the First Lady of France. When Macron was young, he often relied on Brigitte. She gave him advice and comfort when he faced setbacks in politics. Meng Chao, on the other hand, was not as fortunate. Lillian acted like a mother to him, and he was very attached and obedient to her. Instead of being a good guide or teacher, Lillian got involved with the 2 boys, which led to this tragedy. What is that story? Alright, I told you the ending of Reginald and Meng Chao, but I think I haven't mentioned what's happening to Lillian. Obviously, she lost her job and then disappeared into the crowds. She's not breaking any laws, so that's the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe so I'll be happy. And I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.